Hello everyone and welcome to this session of the AI Nurses Network webinar series. We've a great nursing colleague with us today, Dr. Kathrin Seibert, who's based at the University of Bremen, and she's going to speak to us about her work on AI in nursing care. Over to you, Kathrin.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity to present the work we've been doing on AI in nursing care, and especially on how nursing care projects, so these projects that set out to either do research and development on AI for nursing, or maybe hospitals, nursing homes that decide we want to implement an AI-based technology. So how are we prepared for that? How is our AI in nursing care readiness, as we call this? And we've developed a tool to support these kind of projects. And I'm happy to share insights into this. Before we dive in, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself, so you have a better sense of the perspective I bring to today's webinar, and from what perspective I'm speaking about AI in nursing care. So I'm a registered nurse, and I have many years of clinical experience in intensive care in the hospital setting. And I've also been working as a clinical teacher for nursing students for quite a few years before I started my academic career in nursing research. And I completed a bachelor's degree in nursing science, then did a master in community and family health nursing. And following up on this, I obtained my PhD in public health. So this is my background. And during my studies, I already started working in research projects at the University of Bremen. And since 2016, I've been a research fellow at the Institute of Public Health and Nursing Research there. And since 2017, so almost now for 10 years, I'm focusing on digital technology support for nurses. This is the overarching topic of my research. How can we utilize digital technologies throughout the nursing process to support nurses, but also, of course, enhance quality of care and, for example, care continuity. And the AI topic I've now been working on, I think, since 2020, starting in 2019. I spend a lot of my time doing research in this field, but I also right now am coordinating the implementation of a nurse-led unit at a tertiary care hospital. So I'm doing quite a lot of stuff, but questions on technology effectiveness, technology implementation, and also AI implementation in nursing are my main research focus. So, and as it is often the case with good research, of course, this is not what I'm going to present to you, is not all my work. It's part of a larger project that was called Process Development and Support for the Use of AI in Nursing, ProKIP. It was funded by the German Ministry for Research, Technology and Space. And we involved a lot of partners. But the specific feature of this project was that the nursing science department had the project lead, and we worked together with data scientists, machine learning experts, but also partners from nursing practice in various forms. And so this is my connection to the topic. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I understand, or what's my understanding of the term AI systems and AI. I talk a lot about this, so I'm giving you a little bit of background information, also a little bit of background, what's been going on in research throughout the world, but also in Germany on the topics. I highlight some challenges for AI in nursing care projects, especially projects seeking to develop and then implement AI-based technologies in nursing, but also AI adoption. And yes, as I've already introduced to you, we think a more thorough use of readiness models and assessments might be one possible solution to overcome these challenges. I'm gonna introduce the AI in nursing care readiness assessment. We call it, please excuse my German pronunciation, we call it AINCRA, A-I-N-C-R-A, but yeah, the readiness assessment to you, and I highlight some benefits of this. So what am I talking about when I use the term AI or AI system? I follow the definition given in the European Union's Artificial Intelligence Act here. So we think of any machine-based system that is designed by humans, of course, to operate with varying levels of autonomy. So we have machine-based systems that can, of course, either be fully incorporated into software, but they can also be embodied in some hardware components. And these systems are able to maybe exhibit adaptiveness after deployment. So AI systems, not all AI systems do this. There are various approaches developers can use to implement AI, but these systems may be adaptive after deployment. But what they all do, they infer how to generate output, and they infer this either from explicit or implicit objectives, but based on the input they receive. And this input is in some form can be data, but there will always be a generated output, which can be a prediction, it can be contents, recommendations, decisions, and these can influence physical or virtual environments. So this is rather abstract as a description. How might these kinds of systems support the nursing process, you may ask? I think some of you will have already experience with specific AI systems. For those of you who are not yet so familiar with them, might be interested in a small overview I prepared how AI systems can support the nursing process. So what I'm going to show you now is already available on the market. So this is not the future. We are talking about systems that are already being used by nurses throughout the world, but this is also not an exhaustive list. It's a glimpse into the scope of systems already available, but also being researched on. So we have AI system supporting all of nurses' assessment activities with a special focus right now on mobility and activity assessments, but also the overarching topic of risk prediction and risk detection, identifying early risks, for example, for pressure ulcer, for post-operative delirium, for falls, sepsis and infections, but also mortality predictions in hospitals that are current use cases for AI in the nursing process. Of course, they can support the step of diagnosis or nursing diagnosis. Here we find a lot of clinical decision support systems. Major fields for which these systems have been developed is the topic of wound management, wound diagnostics, diabetes management, but also nutritional management and pain management, for example. AI systems can support the planning step of the nursing process. So generation of personalized care and treatment plans is already taking place, but also nursing handover documentation, discharge and transfer summaries generated by AI are meanwhile fairly common, I'd say. Then we have AI-based interventions that may target virtual stimulation and activities, for example, in long-term care. Serious games for dementia care in virtual realities is such an example. But we have a lot of applications targeting the self-management of chronic conditions, so supporting patients managing their chronic conditions. And we have, as of now, I think the broadest field of robotics in nursing is social and emotional robotics. Some of you might be familiar with the robotic seal Paro. This is I think the most known example for this, but we have new robots such as the Pepper robot coming especially into long-term care facilities and interacting with patients and care-dependent people. And of course, AI systems might support the evaluation and documentation and monitoring steps in the nursing process, including vital signs, behavior, emotion, and the most prominent use case right now, I'd say, is the voice-enabled documentation and every benefits that nurses can get from using their voice to document or get automated documentation of documentation relevant information. So a lot of use cases supporting the nursing process, but of course, maybe you have ideas or know other systems. Those are possible as well, as the scope is broad. Same holds true for nursing education, actually. We already find a lot of AI systems being developed and being used in nursing education, with the most prominent application right now is the field of simulation and skills training. Teaching students or students learning in virtual environments, learning with virtual patients, acting with virtual patients, but also applications for screen-based simulation. So not an immersive virtual environment via a VR headset, for example, but also screen-based simulations are possible. We have use cases for predictive analytics and performance assessment of students. Predictions entail, for example, dropout and graduation rates, exam performance, but there are also a lot of use cases targeting generation of education-related material or content, for example, exam questions, but also teaching materials, curriculum development. We have a broad application field for especially generative AI here. And then counseling and debriefing, guidance and tutoring, so chatbots as learning tutors, or a personalized or AI systems enabling personalized learning are prominent here. We have, when we look in the literature, we find that not all, while I present this to you as this is possible, needs to be noticed that we have, as of right now, some hints that not of this is performing equally as good as human teachers or humans preparing content. But this is the scope that's available so far. And for me as a nursing scientist, of course, it's also interesting to see how are AI systems supporting nursing research. And yes, they are also doing this, or are able to do this. You could say that in nursing research, AI systems act as research assistants. So especially in planning and protocol phases, we find published evidence that nursing researchers or nursing scientists use AI systems to strategically orient or plan research topics, support the development of study protocols, for example, but also the development of participant information materials. There are a lot of use cases for the steps of data collection and analysis with right now, a lot of focus is given to the generation of synthetic data and the use of this, but also, of course, different use cases to support quantitative and qualitative analysis in nursing research. And some of you that are watching might also be familiar with the step of dissemination, so bringing our research results into practice or to a broader audience. And scientific writing is supported by, for example, translation tools, but also generative AI tools, enabling nursing scientists and researchers to tailor their writing to different audiences and language levels. Of course, they've been doing this or are doing this without AI, but they can use AI systems here. And it also enables us to generate information formats for various media. So we see that in direct nursing practice, but also nursing education and in nursing research, various possible use cases for AI systems exists. But so we can summarize that AI is already supporting nurses on a global scale and also on a scale of broad activities. When we turn to published literature on this topic, we see that there's high potential and high expectations, but there are also a lot of unexplored use cases. And what we also see is, however, there are systems available, a broad uptake of available AI systems, as well as digital technologies in general, especially in the long-term care settings. So in care settings outside of hospitals is, I'd say, rather slow, and we still are lacking a little bit behind here. And when we look at the international literature, what do we know about effects what do we know from studies that have been conducted outside of laboratory environments in clinical practice over longer periods of time? We see that we have limited and little knowledge about long-term effects of AI systems in nursing practice. So this is also what we are, as of right now, still are missing. We know we can utilize the systems. The algorithms perform as we want them to perform, but what does this mean for nursing practice on a day-to-day basis? We need to generate more evidence on this. Nonetheless, nurses all over the world work with these systems, and for example, in Germany, the most prominent systems that have found their way into practice and that are gaining more and more attention are voice-enabled nursing documentations, ambient sensors and apps for fall detection, but also, as I've mentioned, social robots and VR-based serious games for dementia care. And a lot of clinical decision support systems, as of now, focus more on the hospital setting. But it is expected, or we expect to see a rise there. So against this background, the German Federal Ministry for Research, Technology and Space had funded implemented a large funding program called Making Repositories and AI Systems Usable in Everyday Nursing Care. And projects in this funding program had to focus on research and development of innovative AI solutions for nursing care. They could either support nurses, but also support family caregivers, or target improvement of self-determination and quality of life for care-dependent people and patients. And what's so special about this program is that it's the largest funding program so far, and a specific requirement for these projects was to include nursing scientists in these projects. And a lot of these 9 projects actually implemented nursing science as the project lead. For Germany, this was very revolutionary in this kind of research, because it usually, or before this funding program, it was not the norm, I'd say. And to give you an example, what these projects looked into, we had the PISA project looking into voice-enabled nursing documentation. They built on an existing software that was already available, which enables voice-based capture of documentation relevant information. Then in the background, an AI-driven extraction of the structured data occurs for direct input into the connected electronic documentation system. And what was new and really appreciated by the nurses in this project was that nurses should be able to query information stored in documentation systems also via voice. So this was the PISA project. Another project, the Wikipro project, focused on digital decision support for nurses. This project utilized a rule-based AI system, which built on existing nursing knowledge. So they used clinical guideline, or in German, national nursing standardized or standards, to incorporate explicit nursing knowledge to propose or make a recommendation for selected nursing interventions for people with high fall risk. And so they took the mobilities and falls as one focus, but they also took pain and pain management as the other focus. And what was special here is that they put the human into the loop, so to say. They had expert nurses validating and selecting appropriate interventions from the AI recommendations. And these selection flowed back into the AI systems, and so the human knowledge continuously enriched the existing knowledge base. This was, so this is kind of a hybrid system building on rules, if-then rules, to make a recommendation, but then using the expert nurse's knowledge to validate this recommendation and enhance the existing knowledge base. And the third project that I brought to you today is the project Kia Deku. This is also a project that has been conducted successfully. So this AI system is being used, for example, in the University Hospital of Essen. And this project focuses on AI-supported wound diagnosis. The system in the background, based on a picture taken with a mobile device, differentiates between pressure injuries and incontinence-associated dermatitis, to types of wounds that look very similar but need different treatment strategies. And wound characteristics are automatically captured and assessed via the systems, and the wound assessment data automatically integrates into the clinical documentation systems. And the AI system also generates a recommendation for wound management, and which nurses, of course, are free to ignore. So this is not forcing nurses to act on the recommendation, but it proposes a recommendation, and nurses can decide whether to follow this or not. So what you see for all these examples I've given you, but also from the slides on the nursing process as a whole, is that we are not talking about general purpose AI systems here. So we are not talking about an overall mighty AI replacing nurses or being the perfect nurse. This is rather specialized AI, and these are specialized use cases. And this is also what we are seeing in AI research for nursing at the moment overall around the globe. Research projects look into really specialized use cases. And these projects face various challenges. And I think some of them might sound familiar to each of you who either in the past or as of right now has been implementing or taking part in project trying to bring digital technologies into nursing practice or develop a new technology approach. So what we find for I call them AI in nursing care projects is there is still a mismatch between the need for AI support voiced by nurses or nurses' evaluation of what are the fields of their work that they deem very suitable for AI support, and what research and development decides to put their priorities on. So we have a mismatch between that. It's not always a mismatch, but it's often a mismatch. And this is a challenge for these projects. Then even while, for example, international nurses associations or also national nurses associations and also researchers point out the necessity to include nursing practice and nursing scientists in the creation, so be co-creative with AI developers to develop beneficial AI systems. We see as of now mostly only minimal, really meaningful engagement of nursing practice in these projects. Nursing practice is often associated in the projects, but for example, seldomly leading those projects or nurses having very limited influence of the direction of AI research and development so far, but we are working on this. We also see that there are scarce data from non-hospital settings, so especially in long-term care, home care settings, the availability of data being useful for AI development is limited, and also the generation of generating new data is connected with a lot of technical but also social structural hurdles. I think this is something we have all experienced in some kind of way, the level of digitalization between different care settings, but also if we look into long-term care and nursing homes, between different nursing homes, for example, varies a lot, and this influences a lot what kind of, for example, organizations are able to be involved in AI research and development, and what kind of organizations or nursing care facilities are not able to participate in this research. Then we have a lot of underexplored nursing key tasks. I've phrased it like this here. So for example, to develop beneficial AI systems for the nursing process, developers need to understand the nursing process, but also need to understand how to operationalize nurses' actions, but also nurses' decisions, for example. We need to explicate nursing knowledge, and we need to build databases and repositories. So there's a lot of groundwork to do here. And yes, these challenges, as I've said, are not all AI specific, but they rather tackle broad issues of technology adoption in nursing and even innovation integration in nursing. But these challenges persist. And when we look at AI adoption in nursing and what projects have to overcome in this regard they have, of course, to tackle regulatory requirements, technical requirements with one of really a very prominent topic here is the topic of interoperability of AI systems with existing, for example, health record systems, nursing record systems, but also crossing sector boundaries, for example, from the hospital sector to the long-term care sector. Then there are a lot of social factors, especially also questions regarding the micro, meso, and macro level impact of AI. So what does an uptake in the use of AI systems mean for example, me as a single nurse, the knowledge and qualification I need to work with these systems, how do organization, nursing education maybe be reshaped, but also how do health systems include these new technologies, for example, in terms of access, but also in terms of financing models, for example, in the existing, for Germany, this is the case, the existing long-term care insurance or healthcare insurance as a whole. Then there are a lot of ethical aspects, of course, also tackling questions of nursing and care ethics. And then there are translational factors such as the acceptance of these systems by nurses, by patients, and also the added value they bring. This is quite interesting. You can look at, maybe you work with systems, can look if there are clear and transparent outcome indicators, for example, for your hospital, for your nursing home, how added value of AI system use is represented and assessed. This is might be interesting to look up. It's sometimes it's not really clear what the added value is, and even projects struggle to really find endpoints or outcome indicators, making it possible to be very transparent about this added value and benefit. So, and what we see while doing research for a long time now on AI systems is, even though these challenges are fairly good, or no, pretty good, commonly described in the literature. And of course, for technology adoption, we have great frameworks highlighting aspects of why technologies maybe are not adopted in nursing or are abandoned after implementation. So we'd say, well, each project should really know how they could what they need to look into to be successful. But what we see over and over again, that AI in nursing care projects often fail to adequately address these requirements and pitfalls. So they are getting slowed down by tackling requirements that could have been known before, but surprisingly for the project, occur after they've been working some time already, for example, with practice partners. So what can be done about this? This is a challenge. We think everybody thinking in a project structure and trying to bring AI into nursing practice should look to readiness models and readiness assessments and do this very diligently, because these models and assessments can provide a good guidance how to enhance capabilities for effective AI technology integration. They are very popular for assessing organizational AI readiness. So we have quite a few readiness models available outside of the nursing domain, who can help organizations as a whole to focus on what are aspects and capabilities I can enhance to be very effective in integrating AI-based technologies. But what we see in these assessments is that they often focus on technology or business-related AI readiness aspects, and they often tend to overlook humanistic objectives and the social-technical interplay that is happening when bringing AI systems or technologies, digital technologies, into this social system that is a hospital, a nursing home, for example. And what we also find is that existing readiness models or assessments often are very vague about the origins of attributes and items and level requirements. Not all of them, but when you just type into Google readiness, AI readiness assessment, you find a lot of accessible content. But for a lot of these models or items, it's very unclear what are they grounded on. And when we look into the healthcare sector, overall, we see that a few AI readiness models have been developed so far, mainly targeting hospitals, but none of the models that have been published so far focuses on nurses, nursing care, and projects setting out to develop AI for these settings. So this was our objective in the research group I introduced earlier. So we wanted to develop an AI nursing care readiness assessment that can be used for planning, conducting, and evaluating these specific projects. And we did this in a sequential exploratory multi-methods study. We have now published results quite currently this year. So I put the link in the slides. I'm not going to go through this figure in detail, but just tell you that this is what you can see in the upper left corner. We built on preliminary work from our working group. We included data from a rapid review, from expert interviews, from an online survey, and an expert group workshop that we did, and used this to extract AI readiness factors. Then we did an additional systematic literature review on AI readiness assessments or models that have been developed especially for the healthcare sector, and used this as the foundation to extract and harmonize and group readiness factors. Of course, we've been doing all this while we looked into design recommendations and recommendations how to build maturity models and structures. And we iteratively validated what we did throughout these, with actors from these 9 German research projects I introduced earlier. And this was a process over, I think, almost 4 years. And we included expert feedback on the readiness attributes we extracted so far. And as a result, we were able to develop the AI nursing care readiness assessment, which is this, I can say right now, it's not a quick fix. It's a very extensive instrument. It entails 5 dimensions with 69 readiness attributes, and it targets regulatory, processual, technical, social, and ethical factors, and also the aspects of community building and participation in this. It is possible to rate your project or specific aspects of your AI projects alongside or rated by 5 maturity levels, ranging from level 1 initial to level 5 optimized. And these maturity levels and level descriptions have been rated as realistic, distinct, but also achievable by the experts we included in the Think Aloud study we did. And these were all people either from AI research and development, from nursing science, from nursing practice, who were currently or in the past participating in AI projects. And what's specific about this instrument, and what you need to know if you think, oh, this is something I am interested in to look into, is, as I said, it's not a quick fix. And I think, as being the one who has developed this, it's not possible to be conducted only through a single person. So it needs the input from multiple disciplines. Some attributes are highlighted in the assessment to require input from nursing scientists, nursing practitioners, or clinic as nurses with clinical experience, and AI developers together. For example, the question of practical benefit and added value should be answered collaboratively. And just to give you a short overview about the dimensions, we have the dimensions of regulatory and technical requirements and aspects, addressing, for example, how legal frameworks are incorporated or addressed in the projects or in the development of the AI system. Also, how the data pool is analyzed in question regarding, for example, the quality of the data, the accessibility of data being used. Then, of course, questions for data security or interoperability. Then we have a social and ethical requirements and aspects ranging from considerations of privacy, fairness, transparency, voluntariness, to the impacts of AI I mentioned, for example. And community building addresses the level or the degree of how actors in the project, for example, a hospital itself, or also the AI researchers and developers, but maybe also nurses, are participating in networks that strengthen the exchange of knowledge and the collective development of AI systems in nursing practice. So a network such as the AI Nurses Network, for example, because we know that participating in these networks actively contributes to project success. This is another attribute in this assessment instrument. And the largest dimension is are the processual and translational requirements and aspects. Of course, these address questions of resources for the projects, but also the general and AI-specific digitalization level of the practice partners in the project, so of a hospital, of a specific nursing home that is included in the projects. Also, how attitudes, acceptance, trusts, and concerns of those affected by the AI system you want to implement or develop are addressed in the project. How transparent is this? How operationalized are methods to address, for example, acceptance and attitudes, and to maybe build acceptance or deal with concerns arising. And just to highlight it, is the last attribute here is how practical benefit and added value is assessed, monitored, and also documented and published and made known to all stakeholders involved in the project, for example. So this is a self-assessment tool. You can use it at all project stages. It does require the input of the interprofessional team, but you can, of course, share it. Like first, the nursing scientists can address questions targeted at nursing science, then they can share it for example, with the IT staff of the clinical partner. And it is applicable to a full project or only to a selected dimension if this is needed. It does not produce an overall score. This is something that should be known because as of now, there is no international consensus on what are AI readiness success factors for nursing and what is the weight of single factors. So we decided on generating an overall score. So it is more like a readiness snapshot, helping these projects to systematically reflect across key project dimensions, and they can identify their strengths, but also gaps and maybe areas they want to prioritize to advance their project further. So makes it possible to align strategies in the project, also think about what needs more transparent or more operationalized documentation, and where do we need to foster a stakeholder dialogue, for example. It is accessible as a print version via the related publication in English and German language. So we have the user manual and print version open access available. And we also have an open access online resource, which makes it possible to download preliminary results, re-upload them, or maybe compare the progress of your project during the project life cycle, I'd say. And in conclusion, and this is my last slide, we think that the benefit of this tool lies in it being an evidence-based AI readiness framework, which is grounded in theoretical, empirical, but also experiential insights from ongoing AI projects. It's a very practical instrument that helps these projects to address barriers and successful factors already in the planning stage if they want to do this, but it can also give guidance throughout the project lifecycle. And nurses and nursing scientists are considered as key project actors here, and they are addressed as rater entities for a lot of these items. It fosters, of course, reflection on ethical normative values of nursing and care. And it is also possible to use it as a starting point when you select clinical partners, when you come from a research perspective and select or communicate with possible clinical partners about collaborating in these projects to assess how well are they prepared at the start of the project to integrate AI technologies. And it can be a foundation for further research because it enables cross-project comparisons, and it also supports, of course, AI integration in nursing care. So thank you so much for letting me introduce our work and giving you an overview what's been going on in research and development for AI systems around the globe and in Germany. And feel free to contact me if you want to talk or discuss something that comes to mind after this talk. Thank you.
Oh, that's great, Kathrin. Thanks. It's loads of really interesting work there. You've been very busy. I've just got a couple of questions, if you don't mind, before we wrap up. I was wondering, as a nurse, how did you start getting interested in AI originally? Did you come across it at your university?
Yes. So when I was working in clinical practice, I've always been interested in digital technology use in general. And during my studies, I had the opportunity to participate in an ethics seminar, this was in 2013, I think, where I learned about social and emotional robots in long-term care. And I was really interested in this. And so I always kept track of what was happening in this field. So, and when I started working as a research fellow, I think this is why I chose to do research in digital technologies overall. And then the involvement in AI research came about largely by chance, actually, because the German Federal Ministry of Research, Technology and Space was looking for a research group to explore the field of AI in nursing in preparation for a major national funding initiative, this funding initiative I talked about. And they invited our department together with a number of other researchers to apply for doing this research. And this is how we came together with this consortium, or in this consortium that has developed this tool now. And this research group, and this was it was pure chance, and it was such a creative and successful research group, I'd say, that it was just a pleasure working with data science and informatics. So my enthusiasm for this field has grown and has not faded so far.
Great. Yes. Lovely. So yeah, do you have any advice for nurses, I guess, who want to get involved in AI and learn a little bit more about it?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I think since engaging with AI is not a profession-specific issue, but a broader societal one, nurses who want to know more about it can look at maybe on a national level what institutions, for example, are already offering freely accessible online learning resources. This can be introductory courses covering fundamentals, but can also cover more advanced training. A lot of countries already provide these kinds of materials, so it's fairly easy to gain, I say general knowledge and skills. For nurses or nursing specific education, you can look to your National Nursing Association or Nurses Association, I'd say, because many have established working groups on digitalization and AI in nursing. They have connections or contact information on nursing education providers that can offer education courses on these topics. And for example, you can also look into just to get to know what's the professional stance on this, aside from what's my personal professional position on this. For example, the European Federation of Nurses Association, the EFN, has published position statements outlining their perspective on co-creation or AI integration into nursing practice. You can look into this, and those of you that are more interested in the scientific perspective can fairly easily right now find a lot of systematic reviews, but also single studies covering AI in the nursing process, in nursing education. These are like both the main topics. For example, they are right now, for example, I mentioned it here, the Journal of Medical Internet Research has the JMIA Nursing daughter journal, so to say, or it's a branch. They have very specific studies focusing on AI and technology use in nursing, for example. So there are widely a lot of opportunities, and of course networks such as the AI Nurses Network are a great way to get access to educational information and materials, of course.
Great. Yeah, thank you. There's loads of good suggestions there. Lovely. Well, thank you so much. And it would be great maybe to reconnect in a year or two and see how the projects are going. And I think it's fantastic that your government have funded a whole program about AI in nursing, because I think, Germany are definitely ahead in that space. I haven't seen anything like that in the UK. So I'll have to speak to our colleagues here
Yes.
to see if we can do something similar.
Yes.
Great.
Thank
Lovely.
you so much. And
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.